Mayor, welcome to Berea. Good luck in your campaign.
Thank you. Thanks, Steve. I appreciate that, Mayor. Thanks very much, and I appreciate you taking us around Berea. I was telling the mayor earlier that some 20 years ago, or maybe more, I was on the board of Berea College, and John Stevenson, who was then the president, and I started talking. I was chairman of Building and Grounds Committee, and John and I started talking one day about the need for a more diversified economy in Berea. Of course, the college has a big presence here, but he had the foresight, and the college had a lot of land right out on the interstate. And he decided then that we would follow in the path of Danville and Richmond and create an industrial park for manufacturing plants. And today I would say that out there's probably more than 2,000 or 3,000 jobs. I think perhaps in Hitachi alone there's 2,000 jobs. And in the others, if you take all of the plants there's more than probably 3,000 or 4,000 jobs.
Hitachi's well over 1,000, and we do have about 3,500 manufacturing jobs in Berea.
In Berea. Well, you know,
but we could always use more.
You always understand, and that's one of the exact reasons that I'm making this race today. I know that y'all are going to ask why I'm running for Congress. And let me put it this way. I experienced the American dream. I grew up in a middle-class family. We had the opportunity to build a family business that today works not just in Kentucky, but across the country. We lived the American dream. But that American dream is threatened today. It's in trouble. It's at risk. Too many families, too many of our citizens are experiencing rising health care costs. They're experiencing education that's too high, just rising costs of education, and wages that are stagnant, wages that don't allow them to keep up. So much of this I've learned as a mayor of Lexington in bringing people together to solve problems. So much of this is a function of a broken Washington, a Washington that's not working. We need to bring people together. We need to reach across partisan lines. This is why I'm running for Congress. Now, Lexington, fortunately, Lexington's on the right path. Our country is not. And this is a time for citizens, for leaders to step up. It was John Kennedy who said that every man can make a difference and each one should try. That's what this campaign is going to be about. It's going to be about creating opportunities for people. I'll focus all my energies on creating opportunities, solving problems, and creating opportunities. We know we've got significant challenges and problems. We've got them right here in our own district. I know from being on the front lines in Lexington what it means to deal with the opioid epidemic. It's destroying families. It's destroying communities. It's compromising our economy. All of these issues have to be dealt with and have to be addressed. And how do you do it? It's often very simple, but it's not easy to get to that. And that means working to bring people together, working across the partisan divide that exists in Washington today. Now, I've talked to a lot of people. I've talked to a lot of people in my job as mayor. I've talked to a lot of people already in this district. Many of them are mad as hell. And many of them are scared as hell. What's going on in our country today. That's why I'm making this race. To try to improve. To try to make continuous improvement. The same way we've done it in Lexington, the same way I did it in a family business. Taking these experiences and working on them for our district. Working on them, bringing people together. All right, I'll take some questions.
Mr. Mayor, was the Senate run conducted with something like this in mind, bigger picture?
Oh, absolutely. We were absolutely not. What we were doing in that race last year was reaching out across the state. Now, clearly, there was a similar message. But what this race is about is bringing people together to solve problems. Bringing people together to solve problems.
All right, so the whispers about this has been going on for months. There was, he's going to be in, he's not going to be in. What made you finally pull the trigger, and why did it take so long for you to jump in this race?
Well, it really didn't take long. We have issues and we have challenges in Lexington. I've been doing my job in Lexington. We brought gigabit internet service and a competitor to our cable TV to Lexington. These were projects that I'd been working on for some time. I wanted to see those projects through. Plenty of time for politics and plenty of time for a campaign that we've got today.
And so with that, you're entering this race at, I mean, I guess in some ways, Amy McGrath has already raised, according to her campaign, more than $1 million. You're entering at somewhat of a financial disadvantage. Do you expect to be able to close that gap quickly? I mean, she's had, both her and Reggie Thomas have had 4 or 5 months, whereas you're just getting it now.
Right. I've always been able to make competitive races, and that's what I intend to do in this race. I intend to be competitive. This race is about bringing people together. This race is about allowing people to have the hope for the American dream again. Many of our middle-class citizens have lost that hope. It's threatened. It's in trouble. I've lived that American dream, and I want to do all I can to restore that opportunity for our citizens.
During the Senate race, you enjoyed success in this district. I'm guessing that played a role in your decision to go forward.
Well, I actually didn't even see those numbers myself and look at them carefully until far after I'd been considering this race. I've looked at every race I've been in, often uphill, and that's the way you run a race. You run a race, you run to win, but never afraid to lose.
Okay, the McGrath campaign has already hit you on Facebook. Mark Nicholas, November 21st, posted about he wants to go after your record on crime in Lexington. Do you have any kind of response to that?
Well, regrettably, there are challenges across our country. That's one of the strengths that I bring to this race, is an experience of dealing with these issues on the ground. First-hand experience. I've visited victims. I know how challenging it is for our cities. We're not getting help from the federal government. We need help. Most of the crimes that we have in our cities today, and the mayor can speak to this, so many of them are related to the drug epidemic. We've got to get our arms around this. We've got to deal with it intentionally and deliberately. We're not giving enough attention to it. We've got to fight it. We've got to fight it like a war.
Okay. And then just staying on that campaign, she's gotten a ton of national attention. She's been on Chelsea Handler. She's been all over national media. Are you concerned with how much national attention she's drawing, and do you think that that's going to make it a tighter race?
In my business experience, in my experience in Lexington as mayor, I've always focused on the people. I've always focused on the problems that we have to solve. And that's exactly what I'll do in this campaign.
All right. The last time when you ran for Senate, you had to put $2.5 million of your own money into the race to help keep it competitive with Senator Paul. Are you prepared to invest your own money in this race to help keep it competitive?
I use my business experience to determine investments, and I'll use my business experience and my experience as a campaigner to make determinations on the level of investment that's made in this campaign.
Mayor Gray, we're live streaming this on Facebook right now and getting some reaction already. And some folks are saying we already have such great candidates, this is going to make it harder for me to choose. Piggybacking off of what you were already discussing, anything prominent that you have to voters that would that you want to say that would differentiate you between?
Sure. I've got 8 years of experience of being mayor of Lexington. We fixed the pension crisis. We fixed the health insurance crisis. We've brought competitive cable TV to Lexington. We've brought high-speed internet. Lexington will be the largest gigabit city, high-speed internet city, providing universal access in the country. These are result of bringing people together. These are a result of experience. Now, I bring a unique experience to the table. Private sector experience, running a family business that's grown into a national enterprise, employing hundreds of people, building and creating thousands of jobs in Kentucky and across the country. Those are the experiences I bring to the table, and I offer those to the people.
A campaign trail is not for the faint of heart, as you know. What did you learn from your mayoral race, your Senate race, that you'll bring to this particular campaign, if anything?
I've learned about bringing people together. I've said that a number of times already today, but I say that because it's not easy to do that. It takes a lot of really hard effort to do that. And I'll bring those people together in this campaign. I'll take my message to the people. I'll work hard to get that message out. I'll cover all of our counties in the district. And through that message of bringing people together, of recreating the American dream, of providing that level of inspiration and hope for people. I always believed in Lexington, if people got up in the morning feeling better about themselves because they felt better about the city, then we will have been doing our job. And in many respects, that will apply to this campaign as well for our entire region, for our district.
Mayor Graves also mentioned, some of the other candidates have received national attention. You're no stranger to the national spotlight either, with the Confederate statues that has caused quite a bit of debate in Lexington. Do you think some recent initiatives could possibly harm you, or do you see that as a benefit? Because we're seeing viewers also talking about statues once again.
Yeah. Well, once again, we had a challenge and a problem to solve. We saw this as an opportunity as well as a problem. Clearly, it was the right thing to do. Now, we've done it in a way that's unique in the country. We're the first city in the country to actually find a resting place for these Confederate memorials. But people who understand the issue well understand that these statues that were erected to memorialize men who fought to preserve slavery, they were erected, they stand on the very same ground that slaves were once auctioned into slavery. And that just wasn't right. So we took the right steps. We listened to our community. We brought people together. We examined the issue for some time. And we tried our best to avoid controversy. And doing it that way resolved the issue in a way that illustrated compromise can be created. You can reach across a divide, a partisan divide even, and reach compromise. Wearing me out?
Come on,
That's all right.
We're just getting started.
I understand.
So the statue thing, I'm sorry to hit on that, but that's been something that has impacted races around the country. It's become almost a hot button issue, and kind of illustrates the rural and urban divide that we really see in this district. How are you going? You've been mayor of Lexington, and you've been fairly popular there. How are you going to bridge that divide that we see in this district? Because most of this district's rural.
I grew up in a small town. I've worked in many of the towns in this district. I understand the people in this district. I have experience working with them, helping build jobs. So I'm not at all reserved about saying I can relate to these people. That's where I come from. Now, dealing with controversial issues is something that every mayor has to deal with. Mayor Berea has to deal with them. What we do is we understand we're on the front line. Mayors are where you actually get things done. That's what the people of our district want. That's what the people of Kentucky want today, right here in the 6th District. They want to see representatives, public servants, getting things done for them. I wake up every morning thinking, how am I going to improve today what I did yesterday? How are we going to get things done for our constituents?
Okay, you just said mayors are the place where we get things done, right? And so you've always been this big fish in kind of a smaller pond, and mayor and such. Now you would be, if you were to win, you would be one of 435 in Congress. Right. It seems like it's very difficult to get a bill out of Congress at this stage. Is that a frustration you're ready to take on? Is that something you really want to do? And do you feel like you can be? Do you honestly feel like you can be more effective from Washington D.C. than you can from working in the district?
I've spent 8 years as mayor, 4 years on the city council. I've learned about dealing with the issues that are right on the front line. And I've also learned about the issues that we need help from Washington on, that we're not getting that help from Washington on. Our costs to fight the opioid epidemic and drugs are running into the tens of millions of dollars, just for Lexington alone. So when I think of the rest of the district, I know how significant that is. Now those voices from the front line, there are not enough of them. There are not enough people with a mayor's experience in Washington. I did my due diligence. I've talked to those people who've been mayors. And I know from hearing from them, congressmen today, Congress members today, that they feel that they are getting things done. They're working through the bureaucracy, through the departments, to get things done for their districts. And that's exactly what we need to be doing here.
Mayor Gray,
Real quick, last question.
Yeah.
for viewers moving forward into this campaign, for viewers who live in Lexington and are worried about some issues going on there now and your focus on those issues while you juggle a campaign, what do you have to say to them?
You know, I'm really fortunate. We built a great team. A great team. I hear that from everybody across the city, and I appreciate that enormously. And we will not miss a beat. We will not miss a beat in dealing with the problems. I think my record, I know my record, not just think, I know my record illustrates that I'm going to take care of the problems that we've got.
Okay, thanks.
All right?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
If y'all want to follow us to Richmond, we're going there next. There'll probably be a crowd there.